Lately, I've been thinking, and I realized something. Our lives are a lot like the night sky, giant and extensive. It goes on for miles and miles in every direction. And like our lives, the night sky is dark and empty without the stars and moon. The moon in our lives is our inspiration and hope. Some days the moon is full and full of light. The stars in our lives are the little things that fill up the empty space, making our lives feel fuller. These stars can even connect into magnificent constellations. These constellations are the little things that connect into the bigger things. To show an example of a constellation in my life, we have to turn the clock back to 2018. Picture this. A four-way intersection with dirt roads and a stop sign. Listen for the occasional car horn as people stop and drive by. Watch as people pull to the side of the road and toss food at something. Now, imagine this something as a big, black, fluffy dog. This dog, was my childhood dog named Hugo, and he had learned a very bad habit. He had learned that passing cars and fishermen would toss food out to him to get him out of the intersection, which just taught him to sit in the middle of the intersection. This dog was living the life. He was getting entire pizzas, fish fillets, and more, along with his daily breakfast and dinner. We did try and put him on a diet a couple times, though it never really worked because he would just go back out to the intersection. And every time we heard a car horn, we immediately knew Hugo's in the intersection again. Who's calling him in this time? And we're also getting daily phone calls. Wait, hang on a minute. I think I'm getting a call. Hello? Yes. Yes, that's our dog Hugo. Is he in the intersection again? Okay, I'll go call him in. At the time, these little things were really annoying. But as time passed, we had no idea just how much we would miss these little things. Hugo ended up passing away October 31st, 2021 at the ripe old age of 12. And it was hard at first, but people began leaving things at the edge of the intersection for him. Portraits, paintings, an abundance of flowers, and even a dog toy, which ended up being my other dog's favorite. Someone even left a metal sign at the edge of the intersection that reads as Hugo, forever here. He is forever memorialized at the edge of that intersection. People always passed him by because they could always see him again tomorrow. But eventually, tomorrow didn't come. Hugo made an impact on people's lives. It may have been small, but it was an impact. He even made our roads safer because people began to slow down around the corners because they didn't want to hit our dog. He even made friends with a raven, a completely different species that also mourned upon his death. People realized that this small clump of stars really wasn't that small. He had become a constellation that connected people all across the United States of America. And everyone that knew him had begun to miss him. Another group of stars in my life is when I went to San Antonio, Texas last month. Now, how I got to this point is a rather long story, and it took me 2 years to get to it. First, I went through an interview process for my local power co-op, and I was selected to go to Idaho. In Idaho, I was selected to represent our beautiful state in Washington, D.C. And in Washington, D.C., I was selected to go to the National Rural Electric Co-op Power Exchange in San Antonio, Texas. Now, I am incredibly honored to have been selected to go on these trips. But this story is not about those accomplishments. It's about the people and community that made these 3 trips so memorable. Now, I made some amazing memories in Idaho and Washington, D.C. And there were a lot of firsts, Like how I went to my very first water park in Idaho and learned that I'm terrified of falling from heights thanks to those slides that drop from beneath your feet. Or when we had to go to 3 different national museums in 3 hours in Washington, D.C. We did it, somehow. But it's the little moments in between that I really wish I could go back to. The walks, the talks, the conversations, and the laughter. Those are what I really miss. Now, going back to the present, when I went to my trip to San Antonio, Texas, I went with 43 other youth from across the nation. Each one had their own experiences and own opinions. And at the start of this trip, we barely knew each other. We were barely acquaintances. But in 4 days, we somehow became family. These people mean so much to me now. We were able to bond over the little moments. From debates in the break room to suffering in the Texas heat, which they all use me as an excuse to get to wear t-shirts. You're welcome, guys. To all the many walks from our hotel to our destination, and more. I had some of the most meaningful conversations I have ever had on those buses and on those walks. People tell you to appreciate the little things because eventually you won't have them. But what they don't tell you is that those little things can create some of the most impactful and meaningful relationships you will ever have. These people made a serious impact on me. And I was up till 2 a.m. the day we had to leave, saying goodbye and telling each and every single one of them how much I appreciated them, how much I was glad that they were there. And so the day we were set to leave, which my flight was set to leave at 5 a.m., I did not get much sleep that night. When I went to the lobby, all packed, ready to go, ready to get in the Uber, go to the airport, I realized something. I left something in my room. Now, not a big deal, as you can normally repurchase whatever you left in your room. But what I had left in my room was incredibly important to me. It was a paper bag. Now, that paper bag might not seem like much to you guys, but at the beginning of this trip, we had all made paper bags that we could leave notes in, much like our envelope wall that we have outside in the lobby. I left that paper bag full of notes from these people in my hotel room, and my key was in that hotel room. My roommates were not opening the door. I couldn't get in to get that paper bag. Yes, the people in charge said that they could mail it to me, but it wasn't the same. I eventually was able to get my key, get a new key, and get back to my hotel room. But the fact that that paper bag caused me so much emotional distress in the moment, something that seems so small to someone else meant the world to me. These people were so important to me, and they are so important to me. In 4 days, we somehow became family, and I now have 43 brothers and sisters across the United States. Thanks to these little moments, I was able to build such strong connections. Before I went on this trip, I wasn't expecting very much. I was expecting to make a few friends at most, and then come home after having a good experience. I wasn't expecting to come home with 43 new stars in my sky. Another huge star in my life is my best friend, Katrina. Katrina and I have known each other for 11 years. And we have been through almost everything together. She's seen me through my career in FFA, and I have seen her through almost every single one of her hobbies. And yes, I did try to get her to come to meetings. And it did get hard a couple times, like when she moved 30 minutes away when we were 13, but we were able to keep in contact, and we were able to still be really good friends. It definitely got harder, though, when she moved to Lebanon, Alaska, a place 2 hours north of Fairbanks, that had no cell service, no power, no Wi-Fi, and no running water. But we were able to keep a connection, and we got a system going. She would stay in Kenai with my family and I for about 2 months in the summer, and I would go there for about a few weeks in the wintertime. It was a great way to disconnect from social media. And those summer months have housed some of my favorite memories, like what we fondly dub as the 2022 Coke explosion. Okay, I might need to give you guys some context to that. So, imagine, it's a beautiful sunny July afternoon. My mom had told Katrina and I to go get something from the basement pantry. And of course, we went downstairs and we were doing it. And I went to grab something off of the nearly 3-foot high shelf, and I accidentally knocked 2 Coke cans off of that shelf. I tried to catch them, but my actions ended up causing a 3rd one to fall. Katrina tried to catch them, but it was in vain, and all 3 of them crashed to the floor, sending Coke everywhere. We are still finding Coke. Now, that made a pretty big commotion, and the best thing I could think to do at the time was to go completely silent. Parents and teachers, I'm sure that if you don't hear nothing after a commotion of that magnitude, it can't be good. And sure enough, my mom, who was upstairs, came flying down those stairs. We still had to clean up that mess. That might not seem like a very big or important memory, but it's something Katrina and I were able to bond over as we had to clean it up. And it's something we often fondly look back on and laugh at. But now, those memories are a little bit harder to make. Katrina recently found the love of her life, and I'm so happy for her that she actually found him. But in order to be with him, she had to move all the way to Missouri. And I'm so proud of her that she actually did it. But I thought I would be more upset. I thought that we wouldn't be able to see each other very much anymore. This is going to be so different. And a big reason why that is because we're growing up. We're no longer kids anymore. And I'll definitely get to see her again. I have tickets to go see her in June, but it's different. This feels different. But now, looking back, all I feel for her is pride. One thing to know about Katrina is she has pretty severe anxiety. So the fact that she packed up her entire life and moved to Missouri away from her family, her friends, everything she had built here, she did it. She got on that plane and she moved. She actually did it. And I could not be more proud of her. Mine and Katrina's relationship was built on little things and little moments in between the big things. Like all of her moves. Yes, it was hard, but we were still able to keep that connection. And throughout this, I'm so excited that she is actually having a good time in Missouri and that she's happy. Oftentimes, we're looking at life through a camera lens. When you take a picture of a moment, it's often to preserve that moment. But how often do we actually look back at those pictures? Do they still have the same feelings as when you first took them? When you take a picture of the night sky, does it look the same as when you see it with your own 2 eyes? When you focus so much on these little things, you miss the little moments. Take a step back. Appreciate those little moments in the moment. Whether it be connecting with a brand new friend, connecting with friends you've known for years, or connecting with family. It doesn't matter. Alaska FFA, I have a challenge for you. Find the stars in your life.
compassion and kindness. But it's something you've accomplished this year. I think I speak for everyone when I say that your big heart has touched all of us in so many special ways. I will never forget all of the kind things you've said and encouragement you've given, nor will I ever forget your love for Mr. Agriculture. Love, Layla, Michael, and Nika. Alaska FFA, your 2023-2024 State Vice President, JaLeen Gattaby.